After the assassination of Joash, his son Amaziah succeeded him as king. Once Amaziah had firmly secured his reign, he ordered the execution of the officials responsible for his father's death. However, he did not kill the children of the assassins, for he obeyed the command of the Lord as written by Moses in the book of the law.
Parents must not be put to death for the sins of their children, nor children for the sins of their parents. Those deserving to die must be put to death for their own crimes.
Amaziah did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight, but not wholeheartedly. A border war broke out between Judah and Edom. Amaziah mustered his army of 300,000 men for the battle. Considering this insufficient, he hired an additional 100,000 men from neighboring Israel. But a man of God came to him and said,
"The Lord is not with Israel. And if you let them go with your troops into battle, you will be defeated by the enemy. No matter how well you fight, God has the power to help you or to trip you up."
Obediently, Amaziah dismissed the mercenaries, and this made them very angry with Judah, and they returned home in a great rage. So they raided several of the towns of Judah between Samaria and Beth-horon. They killed 3,000 people and carried off great quantities of plunder. Amaziah summoned his courage and led his army to the Valley of Salt, where they killed 10,000 Edomite troops from Seir. They captured another 10,000, and took them to the top of a cliff and threw them off, dashing them to pieces on the rocks below. When King Amaziah returned from slaughtering the Edomites, he brought with him idols, taken from the people of Seir. He set them up as his own gods, bowed down in front of them, and offered sacrifices to them. This made the Lord very angry, and he sent a prophet to ask,
"Why do you turn to gods, who could not even save their own people from you?"
But the king interrupted him and said,
"Since when have I made you the king's counselor? Be quiet now, before I have you killed."
So the prophet stopped with this warning.
"I know that God has determined to destroy you, because you have done this, and have refused to accept my counsel."
After consulting with his advisors, King Amaziah of Judah sent this challenge to Israel's King Jehoash.
"Come and meet me in battle."
But King Jehoash replied to King Amaziah with this story.
Out in the Lebanon mountains, a thistle sent a message to a mighty cedar tree. "Give your daughter in marriage to my son." But just then a wild animal of Lebanon came by and stepped on the thistle, crushing it. You are proud that you have defeated Edom. But my advice is be content with your victory, and stay at home. Why stir up trouble that will only bring disaster on you and the people of Judah?
But Amaziah refused to listen, for God was determined to destroy him for turning to the gods of Edom. So King Jehoash mobilized his army against King Amaziah. The two armies drew up their battle lines at Beth-shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by the army of Israel, and King Jehoash captured Judah's king, Amaziah, at Beth-shemesh. Then Jehoash brought Amaziah to Jerusalem, where he demolished 600 feet of the city walls. He carried off all the gold and silver and all the articles from the temple of God. He also seized the treasures of the royal palace, along with hostages, and then returned to Samaria. After Amaziah turned away from the Lord, there was a conspiracy against his life in Jerusalem. So he fled to Lachish. But his enemies sent assassins after him, and they killed him there. They brought his body back on a horse. And he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Let's review. A conflict erupted between Judah and Edom, prompting Amaziah to hire mercenaries from Israel. However, a prophet warned Amaziah that if Israel joined his forces, God would oppose them. In obedience, Amaziah dismissed the mercenaries, sacrificing the payment he had already made. Amaziah then led his army to victory over Edom in the Valley of Salt. Meanwhile, the disgruntled Israelite mercenaries, angered by their sudden dismissal, raided several border towns in Judah. Flush with pride from his triumph over Edom, Amaziah challenged King Jehoash of Israel to battle. The two armies clashed at Beth-shemesh, where Amaziah was soundly defeated. Jehoash then advanced to Jerusalem, broke down part of the city wall, plundered the temple and palace, and took hostages. Outraged by Amaziah's actions, his own people conspired against him. He fled to Lachish, near the Philistine border. But the conspirators tracked him down and killed him there.